Neera Tanden is one we should talk about because that's what you posted about. Funny thing, right? Before you posted about Neera Tanden, I was hearing a lot about Neera Tanden from right wing media, like a lot of senators, a lot of all of them were like, she's gonna have a hard time getting confirmed by us because she's always going on Bill Maher, she's always getting all these you know platforms. She's on Twitter, just like talking mad crap about Republicans, right? And and Susan Collins is like, I just hear she's on Twitter a lot, and the whole thing is like, so you guys are mad that she's on Twitter, but never saw your
Never
president on Twitter.
well, my dislike for her has nothing to do.
Yeah,
Well, I guess from Twitter. Yeah.
So there's dislike on her from the right wing side. So tell the people about your dislike from her from the left.
Do you remember last podcast I mentioned how people need to realize that California liberals aren't exactly progressive? That sometimes you even if you're liberal, that doesn't mean that you're not anti-class, or doesn't mean you're not classist, doesn't mean you can't possibly even be racist.
California liberals aren't necessarily pure.
Yeah. So I'll put it like this. To me, she is a perfect liberal if she was in California. Just because
okay.
She has said some stuff that just kind of gives you an idea of disdain towards lesser off people. She said some very troubling things. One of the troubling things, which I actually quoted, what's her name? She ran for president too.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard. So I mentioned it because I was gonna say it too, but then I saw her do it, and I was like, well, you know what? She has a better platform than I do, so let me go ahead and just copy and paste a photo of her saying this, which is basically, Neera Tanden said something about was it Israel or Syria?
I'll pull it up.
Thank you. Where basically it's like, hey, we have a deficit. They have oil, basically giving an excuse to bomb. So she's a very troublesome person. She's extremely troublesome to me.
Yeah. So the full thing was Neera Tanden. So what Neera Tanden said in 2011, October 21st, in an email to Faiz Shakir, Peter Jewell, Benjamin Armbruster, and the NSIP Corps, she wrote, "We have a giant deficit. The subject line was, should Libya pay us back? We have a giant deficit. They have a lot of oil. Most Americans want, it kind of cuts off on the right side, but it said, world, because of that deficit, if we want to continue to engage in blah, 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 because it cut off there, countries partially pay. I think maybe she's saying we should demand that countries partially pay us back. Yeah. And that doesn't seem crazy to me. Do we prefer cuts to Head Start or WIC? What's WIC?
WIC.
What is that?
WIC, like food stamps.
Oh, okay. Or Medicaid, because that's what's going to happen and will be happening even more. Yeah. So saying that instead we should go into these countries and take their oil.
Go into these countries, never at all. And the thing I hate about when people, don't you find it funny and this isn't just her, this is like conservatives do this a lot. Hold on, now let me.
So I was
going to say.
Okay, go ahead. What I was going to say is, I'll read what Tulsi Gabbard said, because that whole thing is there. I can see it. She said, Neera Tanden thinks the way to reduce our deficit is to steal oil from countries like Libya to pay us back for bombing them, toppling their government, and turning them into a failed state. Joe Biden, is this really the person you want in charge of managing our budget? But in reading what Neera Tanden actually said, she said, we have a giant deficit. They have a lot of oil. And then she goes on to say, it doesn't seem that crazy to me to ask them to partially pay us back. She didn't say anything about going in and taking their oil. She said they have oil. As in they have money, they have resources. Pay us back.
Yeah, but I take that as there's also an implication there. Like, she's smart for not saying we're gonna bomb them. That's smart for saying we're gonna bomb them. You know, basically saying, hey, you guys have money, y'all can pay us back. And like Tulsi Gabbard said, for bombing y'all. You know, and it's
okay.
To me, that's just troublesome there. That's just a troublesome argument. One, Two, she's one thing that I dislike her for is she was very anti-Bernie. Like,
Mhm.
I'm talking about, there has been nobody who I saw aside from old girl from Community, but she's really not that relevant because she's just an like, I
Which
hate to say it
one,
like that, but
Britta
she's just an
or
actress.
was
The
it
one that I told you,
Britta?
Dan.
Oh, okay, got it. Yes, Yvonne
Uh,
something.
what's her name? Anyways,
Yvette Nicole Brown. Is there?
yes, Yvette Nicole Brown. Aside
Yeah.
from her, Yvette Nicole Brown, aside from Yvette, but again, Neera Tanden to me is a little bit more dangerous because the way that she's viewed, right? She's viewed as a person who is of education. She's viewed as a person who has a platform.
Yeah.
Obviously goes on Bill Maher a lot. Talks about this kind of stuff all the time. We both, did you say you're a fan of Bill Maher for the most part, or for the most part?
No, I mean, I watch the show a lot. I like his show. I actually do not agree with a lot of what he says, but generally, yeah, he's all right.
For them, when he's on, he's on. When he's off by a lot of times, you know. And Neera Tanden is kind of like that a lot too. She might say some stuff that, okay, all right, I can agree with you. You're still arguing some, you know, some liberal kind of points that, you know, even though I'm more progressive than liberal, I can agree with a lot of liberal things because a lot of liberal things are way better than the conservative part, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for her, she just to me is a troublesome person. I just get the view from the stuff that she says that she's just kind of classist, kind of like people are expendable. And you can't, when you get that from a person who would be handling our money, where I hate the term collateral damage. Because you know what collateral damage is a lot of times, right?
Yeah, it's people.
A lot of times collateral damage is people.
Yeah. It's just
and
not
just
American
like,
people, but it's people.
It's people, yeah. And it just feels like a lot of times that's kind of one of the things that she just seems to me like she's down with collateral damage. Basically, like, look, we could sacrifice these people for the greater good, but a lot of times the problem that ends up happening is when you get to this kind of these area positions, the greater good isn't even really us.
Yeah.
It's them. You know what I mean? Like, and the 1%ers, like people who are already making good money, like, hey, we got, when I think a lot of times when politicians talk about the middle class, they're not really talking about us middle class. Because, you know, Zino, you're middle class, right? I'm middle class, you know, for the most part.
I'm okay. I do okay.
Working middle class, though. It's working middle class, right? Like, not one where you could, if you go on a medical leave of absence for about 3 months, there's a possibility that, yo, I might struggle to pay my rent at the end of this, you know? Whereas there's like upper middle class. That's who I think half the time when they're talking about middle class, it's upper middle class that they're talking about. The people who are making the $400,000 a year. And it's more to benefit them versus the ones who really are on the cusp of getting there. So it's just, she just has that kind of mentality to me.
I see,
and that I'm not a fan of this person at all.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I haven't listened or read too much into the stuff she said outside of her appearances on Bill Maher. She's always just struck me as like a Democrat or a liberal, not necessarily far left or anything, just kind of like, I don't like Republicans type of person. That's what she's always struck me as. When I first read the thing you posted from Tulsi Gabbard, all I did was read Tulsi Gabbard's part, and I thought, oh, that's kind of crappy. That, you know, her idea of fixing our deficit or budget is to go in and take people's oil. When I actually read the email part that she sent, which I don't know why Tulsi Gabbard would take a picture of it in a way that it cuts off the right side. Take a landscape. Like, come on, you're not
that's
that.
mine.
No, but Tulsi Gabbard's whole thing is viewable. You just can't see the edge of what Neera Tanden is.
No, because I think a lot of times what ends up happening is whenever they share something, for some reason it elongates this.
Oh, you have to click into it and then see the
photo. And then it'll show you everything. And what I showed was just exactly what she put.
Got it. So anyway, so when I read what she said, I didn't interpret it the way Tulsi Gabbard interpreted it. It sounded to me like, actually, heck, it sounds to me a lot like the argument we make about taxes here within our country, which is that, hey, Jeff Bezos is making all these trillions of dollars, all these, hundreds of billions of dollars. Why don't we demand that he pay more? And that's what it read like she was saying. They have all this oil. Why don't we, ask them to pay us back? I didn't see it as, oh, let's storm Jeff Bezos' house and take his billions, because that's not what she wrote. Now you can probably, like you said, it can be inferred that that's what she means, but that's a very slippery slope to start inferring that people have negative intent behind what they said. So I read it a different way.
Do you think there aren't some people who are always going to be down for pay us back or else kind of mentality?
There are definitely people like that, but I didn't see anything in that message that sounded like pay us back or else. And like I said, I haven't listened to or read enough about her other ideas to make that conclusion.
So my life goal from now on is to prove to you how trash Neera Tanden is. So.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, that's the thing. I have no strong opinions about her either way, so I can definitely be pulled to that direction. But just based off of that alone, I'm not convinced that that's where she was headed. Like, oh, let's go storm Libya and take their oil so they can pay us back. Yeah.
All right. So anybody else that you can think of that
I know that, is it Karine Jean-Pierre or whatever? That black lady with the short hair. Is it moveon.org?
Biden?
I think she's like Haitian or something. Well, anyway, while you're looking that up, he has a very diverse cast of characters that's coming to his cabinet. First woman this, first man that, or first Jewish that. I think he has a native.
You know who actually had one of the most diverse cabinet picks that people don't ever talk about? George W. Bush actually had one of the most diverse ones too.
He had a lot of Hispanics, didn't he?
He had Hispanics. He had remember Condoleezza Rice was the very first black woman at that nomination. Yeah. I mean, and that cabinet pick. I forget what the what's his name. I don't recall that guy.
Colin Powell.
No, not Colin Powell. It was a Hispanic guy. He was a secretary. I don't recall. Like when he was in court. I forgot his name. Oh, he was so funny because the whole entire thing that he was being asked questions. He was just saying, I don't recall. Like, sir, do you Alberto Gonzalez?
Okay. What was the pick?
Like he was. I forgot what he was on. I think it was for wireless tapping. I think he was on. Remember they were doing a bunch of trials on wireless tapping. And then like his entire defense was, I don't recall. I don't recall. Like,
yeah.
Did you have drink last night? I don't recall.
Yeah.
But anyway, George Bush did have a very diverse one. Yeah. And I think his was considered the most at that point. And now Biden is just adding to it, where now he's creating the most diverse. But how diverse is it really from the political field? Like.
Are you saying that you should have more Republicans in there?
I think you should have more progressives in there.
That wasn't a serious question.
I know it wasn't. But actually, do you think there's an issue with him because I forgot there was one position that Barack Obama left a Republican in that position for a good 2 years.
Yeah.
I forget which one it was, but it was a woman that he left in there for 2 years, like left her in that position because he's like, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I don't see a reason for me to remove you.
Yeah. I don't remember what position that is, but yeah, I don't have a problem with it because honestly, yes, I think, as Democrats, we want, liberal and progressive ideas going through, whether even if it's stuff that's done legislatively or stuff that can be done from a cabinet position, we want, progressive things going through. I think we can agree on that as Democrats. But I think another thing another reason why Biden won, maybe even the main reason, is that this country needs to heal. This country has gone through 12 years of just like it's been just a downward spiral of just division. Whether it's people who just hated Obama and was very caustic about it, or people who just hated Trump, and because of that, like within families, there's been a lot of division.
Yeah.
And I think, and I know we can't necessarily look to our government to save our families and all that stuff, but I think even a bit of an olive branch like that can be seen as maybe some step towards healing the divides. So I wouldn't be against it if he put one Republican in his cabinet.
Yeah.
For something.
By the way, I'm not pushing for him to put any Republican in there, but I'm just saying, like, what would be I'm asking the question, what would be the problem? But I actually want to go into, actually, what you just mentioned is actually quite interesting if you think about it. The biggest issue that people had with Barack Obama was him just simply being black. It really was. And the fact that Donald Trump caused even a bigger division has nothing to do with the fact that he's orange. It just has the fact to do with that he's just very divisive. Yeah, he was just very
well, he leaned into that anti-blackness that people felt for Obama.
He went into that whole thing, and then like, let's not take away, even though I just mentioned how Bush did have one of the more diverse ones prior to this one. Let's not remove any of the credit from giving it to him and his part in the division of this country. Because Bush too, yeah. Because remember, the Tea Party really was the Tea Party during his.
It was
no, it wasn't that, but there did seem to be a huge division between a big divide that started happening, and it happened when he created the this whole idea of, if you're against the war, you're against our country. Yeah, and that started creating such a separation. No, I really do credit a lot of that to that. That was just that was the catalyst, and then the fact that Barack Obama was such a big change, i.e., him being black. Yeah, that caused more division. It just seemed like it was a snowball effect.
You're causing me to defend President Bush here, but
that's that.
I don't agree with that. So the whole you're either with us or against us, or you either with us or our enemy, I think is what he put it, like the really strong terms. Yeah, I don't think that caused a division in the way that we're seeing, because the division we're seeing is along like racial lines.
And I'm saying that was the catalyst of the division that slowly evolved, and then it slowly evolved into going from pro-America, anti-America to now it's pro-black, anti-black.
Yeah.
White versus black, kind of like that. That's where it evolved. Because the problem is, look, with America, what's going to always happen, whether we like it or not, it's always going to come back down to race. Mm-hmm. It really is. And that's what ended up happening. It was just a slow evolution to that, because one thing that the Bush administration did tap into was something that Donald Trump tapped into, but he tapped into it more extreme, which was nationalism. Because that patriotism can be considered nationalism. An extreme force version of patriotism is nationalism, and that's kind of what he tapped into. Like you said, you're either for us or against us. You're either American or you're not an American. It's really what it goes down to. And then when you create that divide, then it's the pieces start falling into place where it just eventually race comes to the forefront, and that's just where it ended up being. But I honestly do think Bush too he has some credit to do with this whole the start of this division.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who in 2008 would be like, just because I dislike Obama doesn't mean I'm racist.
Yeah.
But in 2008 it kind of did, because there's nothing wrong with liking John McCain or thinking John McCain's policies are better and they're going to benefit your family's life more. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's not all we saw. We saw people. That famous clip of that woman saying that I'm afraid of if Barack Obama becomes president because he's an Arab, and then John McCain takes the mic and says no.
Takes the mic and tells her to shut the hell up.
That we have difference of opinions, but he's a good family man just like I am. Which, when you really dig into it, that's actually problematic too, because it's like, are you saying Arabs can't be good family men?
Can't be.
But
And it's kind of
but
like somebody once raised a question. I was like, okay, what if he's Muslim?
yeah,
Well, what's the
exactly.
problem there?
But that part aside, anyway. The fact of the matter is, people, before he had even been in office, before he had even enacted a single law, before he had done anything, this dude was a junior senator. Before he had really done anything, people already decided that they hated him. What else is there for you to hate him about, other than the fact that he represents change in the worst way in your mind? That it's going to be the first black person.
In this country, it is much harder to be an excellent person of color than it is to be a mediocre white person.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It really is. So basically, what we're saying, what you're saying is, Joe Biden is our white savior.
Yeah.
To get this country back to, for me, it's just getting it back to the status quo. It really is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, unfortunately, just how much Donald Trump has set us back, getting back to the status quo actually seems like an improvement.
Yeah. Square one. That's all we need at this second. We need to get back to square one, and then we can work on the business of policy making and actually doing.
Like I told you pre-production, though, I say, look, Joe Biden should be like, you know what? I'm almost out this bitch. Let me just go ahead and be extreme and put in like the most people you would not expect me to put in that will benefit the people who I will be around to see.
You know what though? This 2022, he could do that after the midterms. He could be like, look, I'm not running for re-election. I got 2 years left. Let me make my legacy play now. Let me.
And then he's gonna be like, Kamala, good luck.
Yeah. Let me make my legacy play now. Let me put in the people who get things done the way Democrats want things done. And that's the great thing about that's what would have been a great thing about Obama's last 2 years if the Republicans didn't have the House and the Senate. He had all these ideas he wanted to do, and everything was blocked by Mitch McConnell. So he just started doing things by executive orders. Like, all right, do this.
On the flip side, good thing that Donald Trump didn't win, because Donald Trump had they said that he had a lot of executive. He wasn't going to wait for the midterms. He was going to do the first all 4 years and say, and it was going to be dangerous. So maybe Biden is our white savior.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, sports.
Going to sports.
All right.